Zack Snyder has had a fun run pushing the boundaries of CGI with most of his projects. His vision for films like The Watchmen, 300, Rebel Moon, and Batman vs. Superman. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Dawn of Justice, all relied on heavy CGI mixed with some brilliant acting and direction on the part of Snyder himself. Zack Snyder might be best suited to do one character justice with his wish to use less CGI in his films. There is no doubt about the fact that Zack Snyder understands superhero fiction pretty well, and his unique taste in filmmaking suits the vigilantes that populate the worlds created by various comic companies. Given that Zack Snyder wants to get away from all the CGI, as he told The Hollywood Reporter, there is one character that would work great for Snyder. Regarding his supposed CGI fatigue, he said. However, in an interview during the promotion of the Rebel Moon's director's cut, Zack Snyder revealed that perhaps he would like to take a back seat from special effects and focus on a film that employs a few more organic shots. If the director's history with the superhero genre is anything to look at, there is one character that Snyder needs to try his hands on. Zack Snyder's way with films makes a lot of characters potent candidates to be adapted by the director. There are a slew of vigilantes, other than Batman, that Snyder could adapt with minimal to no CGI. I'm a little tapped out on the visual effects world right now. I love it, don't get me wrong. I'm a huge fan, but I would love to do something a little bit more organic. Given that Snyder is trying to look at doing more organic filmmaking, the director would be well suited to adapt the Question into live action. The Question is a character that has received a few adaptations but remains as one of the vigilantes of the DCU yet to get the treatment that he deserves. Given that Zack Snyder has a directorial vision that can lend itself to vigilante stories pretty well, The Question, with his focus on the lack of superpowers and not requiring immense CGI set pieces, would be the perfect character for Snyder to do. This could range from more well-known characters like Black Canary, The Punisher, Red Hood, and even a Damian Wayne League of Assassins film, to niche vigilantes that would be great character studies like Wildcat. Whether James Gunn is going to want Snyder to come in for the DCU anytime soon is speculative, but Kevin Feige could definitely bring the director in whenever The Punisher is ready for a feature-length film. Zack Snyder's recent filmography has depicted some groundbreaking CGI, but it makes sense that as a director, Snyder would want to move on to using natural environments and practical effects in his films for a while. Veteran director Zack Snyder, who showcased Doomsday in Batman v Superman, might just be a genius as this theory turned out to be true. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. The world waited in anticipation when Zack Snyder released the 2016 DCU film Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. Starring Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck in leading roles, the film was a roaring success. Well, they weren't wrong as Darkseid did appear in several key moments in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Although the DCU set up a potential future where Darkseid returns, it wasn't as nearly as good as Zack Snyder's love for Doomsday. Fans had an idea that Darkseid was like the big bad baddie in DC Comics as Thanos was in Marvel Comics. Naturally, fans also assumed that the whole point of the DCU was to bring in Darkseid and have the Justice League fight the main antagonist. Alongside Lex Luthor as the antagonist of the film, Batman v Superman also featured the Kryptonian monster Doomsday. Although the fans were more excited for Darkseid in the DCU, it seems that they were wrong. Originally known as the Ultimate, an alien scientist called Bertron released an infant into the wildness of Krypton, which was uninhabitable at the time. The baby died instantly. His body was collected and data was retrieved from his genes. The process kept on going for several years until the Ultimate started to hate all life by constantly evolving against it. It's not a very pretty story to hear as Doomsday has one of the saddest origin stories to ever exist. Before he became this mold of rocks and hate, he was just a humanoid infant who was left to starve and die on an unknown planet. Comparing villains and antagonists, DC Comics recently proved one thing in the comic book world. There have been several debates regarding which villain is the most powerful in the DC world. According to the comic book Superman number 20, via Screen Rant, Doomsday is the most powerful villain in DC Comics. As per the lore of the universe, Darkseid will be the only one who will remain standing even when the universe takes its last breath. Zack Snyder did justice in showcasing an iconic fight scene of Doomsday with Henry Cavill's Superman and Ben Affleck's Batman in Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. And hence, it can be said that Snyder is simply a genius of a guy. So there you have it. Zack Snyder, 1. James Gunn, 0. Not that we are competing or anything, but it would indeed be fun to see James Gunn try something like this in the DCU in the distant future. On the other side, Zack Snyder's Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice received a rating of 6.5/10 on IMDb. The iconic 2016 film is available to stream on Max in the US. According to the comic books, the reason why Doomsday is more powerful than Darkseid is because he has the power to evolve. Doomsday is already unkillable due to the years of evolution and experiments done on him. Even if he dies, he could simply revive himself and evolve in a way that makes him stronger and stronger till he reaches the levels of a god. After killing Bertron, the Ultimate went on a rampage through space by fighting gods, Green Lanterns, different races, and more. Doomsday became notoriously infamous when he was deemed as the killer of Superman in the comic issue The Death of Superman. It's pretty common in hit TV shows or sitcoms for the actor everyone expected to skyrocket to fame to surprisingly fade from the spotlight. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Take Euphoria, for example. Many thought Alexa Demie was destined for long-term stardom, yet it was Sydney Sweeney who ended up stealing the spotlight. Ty Burrell, who won hearts in Modern Family as the goofy dad, but he's surprisingly great at playing bad guys too, and fans want more of it. Ty Burrell may be best known as the lovable goofball Phil Dunphy from Modern Family, but anyone paying attention could tell from the start that this guy can act. Sure, comedy was his sweet spot, but Modern Family occasionally hinted that Burrell's talent went far beyond just cracking jokes. The same goes for Ty Burrell from Modern Family. While he's a comedy genius who's clearly proven his acting skills, he's rarely ventured beyond comedic roles and has largely stayed out of the spotlight in recent years. So why hasn't he explored more dramatic or diverse roles post the hit sitcom aired? Despite teasing his range, fans have been craving to see him tackle more serious roles. But instead of diving headfirst into Hollywood after Modern Family wrapped, Burrell chose a different path, one that led him home. After over a decade as Phil Dunphy, he decided to hit pause on acting to focus on his real-life family. He hasn't disappeared entirely. He voiced yet another dad in Fox's animated series Duncanville. He also popped up in the 2010 films Fair Game and Morning Glory, and even joined the Muppets in Muppets Most Wanted in 2014. But Burrell made it clear his priority was spending time with his loved ones. Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead remake was enough proof of how much he can act as the bad guy. More on that in a bit. Much like Bryan Cranston, who went from sitcom dad in Malcolm in the Middle to the unforgettable Walter White in Breaking Bad, fans are hoping to see him make a much-needed comeback. Fans are hopeful that if Ty Burrell decides to return to acting in a big way, he'll channel the same energy that made him so memorable in Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. Many people might not be aware of this, but before Modern Family, Burrell had a solid streak of playing jerks, and honestly, he was fantastic at it. I played a lot of villains in film and my features lend themselves toward that. So I got turned down for a lot of leading man parts for me being menacing looking. If you knew me, I'm the biggest wimp that ever lived. I played an evil corporal in Evolution, a true jerk in a remake of Dawn of the Dead, a really mean boss in Good Company. Whether it was his role as a selfish scumbag in Dawn of the Dead, a sleazy boss in Good Company, or an arrogant anchorman in Morning Glory, Burrell had a gift for making bad guys oddly entertaining. His Dawn of the Dead performance especially stood out. He was such a memorable villain that you couldn't help but love to hate him. Fans agree as well. Here is what some of the Redditors are saying. Considering how effortlessly he played those roles, it's surprising he hasn't been cast on more dark and devious characters since. Phil Dunphy was iconic, no doubt, but Burrell's got a talent for being bad, and fans are ready to see him